Good morning, students. I am Riya Sinha, your assistant teacher. Today, we are going to start chapter number 9 of history, that is vital villages and thriving towns. Vital villages. In this topic, we will discuss about different types of villages which were set up in the earlier times. And after that, we will discuss about thriving towns, how towns were set up and how people used to engage themselves or migrated from villages to towns. So let's start the chapter. Your first topic is iron tools and agriculture. In this topic, we will discuss about how people used to make iron tools and how they have started agriculture. See, we often take the use of iron for granted today. Things made of iron and steel are a part of our daily lives. The use of iron began in the subcontinent around 3000 years ago. Some of the largest collections of iron tools and weapons were found in the megalithic burials, about which you have already read in the previous chapter. So basically, today we take it for granted the use of iron tools, but things made of iron are part of our daily lives now. The use of iron basically began around 3000 years ago, and some of the largest collection of iron tools and weapons were found in the megalithic burials. So around 2500 years ago, there is evidence for the growing use of iron tools, and these included axes for clearing forests and the iron plowshare. So as we have seen, the plowshare was useful for increasing agricultural production. We know why plowshare are used in agriculture because it is helpful in tilling and plowing the field, and because of plowing, the fertility of the soil gets increased, and we used to get a lot of production because of that. Okay, see, other steps to increase production. Irrigation. The kings and kingdoms you have been reading about could not have existed without the support of flourishing villages. While new tools and the system of transplantation increased production, irrigation was also used. Obviously, kings and kingdoms basically could not have existed without the support of flourishing village. So new tools and system of transplantation increased production, and because of that irrigation was also used. So irrigation works that were built during this time included canals, wells, tanks, and artificial lakes. So basically these were the uh, appropriate types of things which are used in production. Sorry, irrigation. So if you look at the chart, you will find that some of the stages in the construction of irrigation works are mentioned. See, who lived in the villages? There were at least three kinds of people living in most villages in the southern and northern part of the subcontinent. In the Tamil region, large landowners were known as Vellalar, ordinary plowmen were known as Uzavar, and landless laborers, including slaves, were known as Kadesiar and Adimai. You all have to learn these terms. Vellalar means large landowners, Uzavar, ordinary plowmen, and landless laborers and slaves were known as Kadaisiar or Adimai. So, in the northern part of the country, the village headman was known as the Gram Pujak. Usually, men from the same family held the position for generations, and in other words, the post was hereditary because from the same family, one after the another generation took over the charge. The Gram Pujak was often the largest landowner. Generally, he had slaves and hired workers to cultivate the land. And besides, as he was powerful, the king often used him to collect taxes from the village. He also functioned as a judge and sometimes as a policeman. So these are the functions of Gram Pujak. Gram Pujak was often largest landowner. He had slaves and hired workers to cultivate the land. He was powerful. The king used him to collect taxes from the village, and sometimes he functioned as judge and sometimes as policeman. So apart from the Gram Bhojak, there were other independent farmers known as Grihpatis, and most of whom were smaller landowners. And then there were men and women such as the Das, Karmakar, who did not own land and had to earn a living working on the fields owned by others. So in most villages there were also some craftspersons such as blacksmith, potter, carpenter and weaver. Now the earliest Tamil composition. Some of the earliest works in Tamil known as Sangam literature were composed around 2300 years ago. These texts were called Sangam because they were supposed to have been composed and compiled in assemblies, and that's why known as Sangam, means compilation, of poets that were held in the city of Madurai. The Tamil terms mentioned above are found in Sangam literature. Okay, so basically, the earliest Tamil composition known as Sangam literature, and it was composed around 2300 years ago. It was known by the name of Sangam because they were supposed to have been composed and compiled in assemblies of poets that were held in the city of Madurai. So hope you all understood these things clearly. Um, in the next class we will continue this chapter. Till then, thank you and have a nice day.